Hey there, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Musa Jallo. Into this video, we're gonna be watching a video from Displore, and the video is entitled Ghana versus Tanzania. Which country is it better to live and work in? So, with no further delay, let's get into the reaction.
Ghana versus Tanzania. Ghana, once an African success story built on gold, oil, and cocoa, used its natural resources to drive strong economic growth in the early years of the 21st century. It achieved the Millennium Development Goal of halving poverty rates by 2015, and it was held as a model of political stability following peaceful elections. Moving from Ghana all the way to the east side of the African map lies Tanzania, an African nation known for its famous national parks and natural attractions.
I feel like when it comes to natural beauty, it's like few country can beat Tanzania. Tanzania, I feel like it's really so pretty.
Tanzania has had over 20 years of consistent economic growth, eventually resulting in the country's transition from low-income to lower middle-income status. Ghana is a fast-developing country for sure, and in this video, it shall be going up against Tanzania in various comparison points starting with their economy. Ghana's economic growth has been slowing over the last 5 years, but it was expected to pick up in 2021. Over the same 5 years, the expansion of economic freedom has resumed its upward trend. Ghana was dubbed the world's fastest growing economy in 2019.
That is like so crazy, like the whole world, like the fastest growing economy, like, oh my god, that's a lot though, that's a lot.
With terms like skyrocketing used to describe its expansion. Ghana experienced a complete transformation in 3 decades. According to the World Bank, the country had also consistently ranked in the top 3 African countries for freedom of expression and press freedom. All of these achievements are the result of good governance and a shift towards sustainable development. On the other hand, Tanzania's economy had gradually recovered in the third quarter of 2021, with hospitality, mining, and electricity sectors leading the way. Leading indicators such as cement production, electricity generation, private sector credit, goods and services export, non-fuel good imports, telecommunications, mobility and tourist arrivals all improved in 2021, despite the fact that activities in most sectors remain below pre-pandemic levels.
Like looking in from the outside, you would have think like maybe the economy of Tanzania is like based mostly on like tourism, but I'm so surprised to see like they have a whole lot of different things going for them also, like they have a whole lot of different industries, So that's really good in my own book, at least,
Taking another look at Ghana's economy, Ghana has been long known as one of the world's largest cocoa producers. But Ghana's growth is now being fueled by a different commodity, which is oil. Ghana's economy has risen to the top of the GDP growth tables as a result of increased crude production and rising prices. According to the IMF, GDP will rise from 8.8% this year, more than double the rate of emerging economies as a whole, and well ahead of global growth.
That's crazy though. Like 8.8% growth in 1 year. That's really good for our economy, That is as big as the economy of Ghana. That's really impressive,
While Ghana's prosperity is closely linked to the oil market, it remains one of the world's largest exporters of gold and cocoa, which is still a significant export product. In the case of Tanzania, Tanzania's main exports include gold, coffee, cashew nuts, and cotton. Gold is by far the most profitable of these, accounting for more than 2/3 of the country's export earnings in the early 2000s. The government sees agriculture as critical to achieving its socio-economic development goals, which are well articulated in the Second Agriculture Sector Development Program. Agriculture and related value chains account for 2/3 of all jobs, 3/4 of which are for the poor, so the sector is critical to creating more and better jobs at scale and significantly reducing poverty. Looking at
I'm gonna say this way, like most African things, like agriculture is like job for poor people, and that mentality really have to change. Your country can be going through like the worst economic crisis, people still have to eat, No matter what is happening, people have to buy food, people have to eat, people have to do all other things, So like agriculture, I feel like it's one of the industries that people really sleep on, but I feel like it have a lot of potential actually.
The economic evaluation of both countries, Ghana has a larger and more stable economy, but that of Tanzania is on a rapid rise than that of Ghana.
Ghana have a bigger economy than Tanzania. I wouldn't have thought that, right? Because like I think the population of Tanzania is almost double that of Ghana. So that is really so crazy.
Giving Tanzania 1 point in order of economic growth. Now let's take a look at their infrastructure. Infrastructure contributed slightly more than 1 percentage point to Ghana's annual per capita GDP growth. When compared to other African low-income countries, Ghana has a more advanced infrastructure platform. The country's rural water, electricity, and GSM signal coverage levels are impressive. The majority of the road network is in good or fair condition. Institutional reforms have been implemented in the sectors of ICT, ports, roads, and water supply. Ghana's most pressing problems are in the power sector, where outdated transmission and distribution assets, rapid demand growth, and periodic hydrological shocks have left the country reliant on high-cost oil-based generation. As for Tanzania,
Like Ghana also, I feel like they have the capacity to produce enough electricity for like the whole country. They produce like so much electricity, but like the thing is the distribution is the problem. So they cannot distribute those electricity to like the people who need it. Imagine you have something that your people don't need, you have it, but you cannot give it to them because there is no infrastructure for you to make that happen for them. That's really so sad in my book.
infrastructure contributed 1.3 percentage points to Tanzania's annual per capita GDP growth. Tanzania has made significant progress in reforming its roads and improving the road network's quality. The country has also made significant progress in ICT networks and has one of Africa's most competitive domestic air transport sectors. Tanzania's most serious infrastructure challenge is in the power sector. Despite recent significant improvement in pricing and operational performance, inefficiency continues to consume approximately 1.4% of GDP.
Yeah.
Furthermore, because of its reliance on hydropower, the sector is vulnerable to climate change. In terms of infrastructure, Tanzania has an annual funding gap of $0.7 billion per year, while Ghana's annual...
If I might be wrong, but like if you know the right answer, you can correct in the comment section below. Like that 700 million infrastructure gap, I think it's like not to build new infrastructure, but just to maintain what they have. So that is like so crazy. So like if they want to like build even more infrastructure, they even need like even more money. So like every year that go by and that gap is there, that means like the current infrastructure they have is gonna keep getting worse, and they're gonna need more money to like bring it up to standard and maintain it. So it's like a hamster wheel to me. Like it's really so crazy. But they really have to try actually.
infrastructure funding gap is about $0.4 billion per year, making Ghana the leader when it comes to infrastructure. In conclusion, Tanzania has a lot of catching up to do in order to meet up with Ghana's present infrastructure level. Moving on to the next, let's take a look at the geography. Ghana's topography consists mainly of low plains, but its south-central area does have a small plateau. Ghana is also home to Lake Volta, the world's largest artificial lake. Because Ghana is only a few degrees north of the equator, its climate is considered tropical. It has a wet and dry season, but is mainly warm and dry in the southeast, hot and humid in the southwest, and hot and dry in the north. Tanzania is almost
I'm gonna give it to yeah. I've been to Ghana once. I was there for like I think almost 1 week. Like Ghana is so freaking hot. Like it is really really so hot in Ghana. I remember at the time I was living in Sierra Leone, right? So normally in Sierra Leone the sun come out like maybe 6-7 o'clock in the morning. That's when the sun come up. I was in Ghana. I had flight to go back home to Sierra Leone, and then like the flight was like I think 10 a.m. I woke up at 5 in the morning, and the sun was blazing hot at 5 in the morning. So I was like, what is the time right now? I thought I was like late for my flight because like the way the sun was up at the time, if it's Sierra Leone, that means like it's almost midday. So I got like so panicked. I was like, oh, I missed my flight. And now when I look at the time, it was like literally like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Times the size of Ghana, and it is made up of the mainland as well as the major islands of Zanzibar, Poem, and Mafia.
Zanzibar, that's really so nice. Like I really want to go there one day. It's like one of the places in Africa I would really love to visit. It is so pretty. Like oh my god, I feel like it is the Maldives on steroid and on budget also. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. The coast is protected by a coral reef, and there is a large central plateau with grasslands and mountain ranges, including Mount Kilimanjaro in the north. Africa's highest peak at 5,895 meters. The Great Rift Valley, which runs through the country's center, is home to numerous lakes. The country borders Lake Victoria in the north and Lake Tanganyika in the west. Tanzania's climate varies from tropical to subtropical, with high temperatures and humidity along the coast and on the islands. From June to September, average daytime temperatures are 23 degrees Celsius.
That is not bad actually. 23 degrees Celsius from June to September. But I know like this country is like on that side. Like I know they normally have their winter when we have in summer, so it's like the opposite. But that's actually like really so good in the 23 degrees.
And from December to March, they are 27 degrees Celsius.
I feel like it's actually so perfect. It's like the temperature in Sierra Leone, but Sierra Leone doesn't get that low sometimes as all the way down to like 20 degrees. But it's like between like I think 22 to like 20 to like 30 degrees. Which is like so perfect for me.
Our next point would be demographics. Ghana's demography describes the state and distribution of the country's population. Ghana had a population of over 31 million people in 2020, with approximately 15 million females and 16 million males. This represented a 2.13% increase over 2019. Furthermore, the country's urban areas are more densely populated than rural ones. On the other hand,
that's why Accra is like so expensive. I feel like Accra is like so expensive because like there is a lot of people living in Accra. I feel like Accra is a pretty big city actually.
Tanzania is growing at a rapid pace. The country's population was estimated to be at 59.73 million at the end of 2021 and is expected to reach 282.67 million by the end of the century.
282 million at the end of the century. Like that could be a blessing or it could be a curse of Tanzania. All depends how they handle it. If they position themselves right in the right place, that could be like really so impressive.
Tanzania's population is currently growing at a 2.98% annual rate. Tanzania has a high fertility rate of 4.8 births per woman and a high birth rate of 36.2 children per 1,000 people. Unfortunately, Tanzania's rapidly growing population means high levels of poverty and also income inequality. In Ghana, the majority of households have at least one child under the age of 18, followed by those with at least one female between the ages of 15 and 49. Children under the age of 18 are most often raised by both parents.
That's good.
More than 60% of rural households in Ghana own agricultural land, indicating that agriculture plays an important role in ensuring food security for families.
Most families in Africa also they have to like find a way that, or maybe the government should even help them to find a way to live from like the sustenance farming to like industrial farming. Like everybody doesn't need to like produce like the pepper, like the maize or the corn and like the cassava and stuff like that. Maybe people can like start to specialize and then like they trade with each other and then like economy of skills, but also like it's risky to put out your egg in one basket. I understand that also, but they probably need help from like the expert and like the government to like help aid them to like take things to the next level, because as much as this sustainable farming is good, to like help you get food to eat, blah blah blah, but you cannot take your life to the next level. Things need to like industrialize actually.
In terms of communication, radio and television are two of the most popular ways for most households to stay informed. The international poverty rate in Ghana is expected to reach 11.3% in 2022, while the lower middle income poverty rate is estimated to be 26.7%. On the other side, Tanzania had a low median age of 18 years in 2020, in addition to a growing population, and over 60% of Tanzanians are under the age of 25.
That's a lot. Now that explains the population growth forecast for the future, Over 60% is below the age of 25.
As a matter of fact, Tanzania, like most African countries, had a high child dependency ratio. Furthermore, according to National Poverty Line, 1 in every 4 Tanzanians will be poor in 2022.
That's sad.
From 35.7% in 2000, the poverty headcount ratio has gradually decreased. Despite Tanzania having one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, progress is still subject to economic shocks. As a result, with the poverty line set at $1.90 per day, over 29 million Tanzanians, or roughly half of the population, are extremely poor.
Man, that is like really so bad, man. But I feel like that's one thing Africa have to like work on. Like for example, we have all this economical growth in the country, but like how do we include everybody and not just like include few people and leave the rest behind? I feel like that's one thing we should really work on. But it's actually crazy. Like you have a place of like 60 million people and then like half of them is like living in extreme poverty. That's hard.
Quality of life. Living in Ghana is a one-of-a-kind experience, and despite the lack of local state-run public transportation and other modern Western conveniences, the country more than compensates with charm, friendliness, and originality. It is the ideal place for those looking for unique experiences and a new perspective on the world. It is extremely laid back and welcoming. Saturday night is a quiet night in Accra, Ghana's capital, possibly because many people leave the city on the weekends. More intriguingly, the weekend in Ghana appears to begin on Wednesday night, with beach parties, club nights, live music evenings, and art openings all taking place during the week, ensuring that there's always something to check out. Moving on to Tanzania, despite its wealth of natural resources, Tanzania has faced a number of severe social issues, including poverty and inequality. For foreigners arriving from wealthy nations, the extreme poverty in which many Tanzanians live is frequently the most significant source of culture shock. Tanzania's
That honestly speaking, like if you told me like Tanzania was like this poor, I wouldn't have believed you, because I felt like it's one of the countries that's like really doing well in Africa based on what people sees on the news and you watch the headlines and stuff like that. That's what I would have thought. I wouldn't have thought like it's like really, really so things are really so hard there like this also. But I feel like it is an amazing country still. Like I feel like there's a lot of opportunities there. They have like a really big economy. Dar es Salaam, the capital city, is like one of the biggest cities in Africa also. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there.
standard of living is extremely low when compared to Western countries, and even more developed African countries, such as South Africa, are extremely expensive in comparison. The nature's healthcare facilities are severely understaffed and under-equipped, and the local education system is unlikely to meet the standards that many experts are accustomed to. In conclusion, Ghana offers a better and safer cost of living, as it turns out to be developed than Tanzania. So, what are your thoughts on both countries?
Ghana is like developed than Tanzania, but I feel like also like Dar es Salaam might be way cheaper than Accra also, because Accra is like crazy expensive, man. Like it's really so expensive in Accra. I've been there so I can testify, but I haven't been to Tanzania or Dar es Salaam before, so I don't know. But it is so expensive in Accra. But overall, I feel like the question is like you shouldn't like try to choose which one is better. It's all depend your goals. Like I feel like if you want to like start a company like in the tourism industry, you want to open like a hotel. Or you want to like start like a safari company that take people on trips, then maybe Tanzania is the place for you. But if you want to like start like a tech company, then maybe Ghana is the place for you actually. So like it all depends what you come to do. But if it's just to visit, I feel like I cannot choose, because Ghana is beautiful. Tanzania also is like really so nice. So I just hope they both keep getting better, and be like an example for other African countries. Because as bad as Tanzania sound in this video, there are some countries that I know, like my country Sierra Leone, is even worse than this. So like you cannot just hit them like that. They are doing like so many things right, and I feel like they are in the right direction. But enough of the mumbling, I guess. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you remember to like it, comment down below. If you have a video I'm gonna react to, put it down in the comment section. We see you in the next one. Peace out.